What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore? Denver Airport being a fallout shelter for the elite. The fact that it went like $1 billion over budget and all the symbolism. A billion. 3 billion. 1. Kennedy gets elected. 2. Kennedy is critical of the CIA, his own VP and military for wanting to turn the Cold War into a hot one and the willingness to perform false flag operations. Project Northwoods. To do it. 3. Kennedy is shot. 4. His VP takes power. 5. Classified. You missed out the most important part. He bangs Marilyn Monroe. The art trade. That these $1 million art shows individual pieces that go for insanely high prices are just a way for money laundering. Tax write-off even. So a real estate friend of mine told me that if you made $1 million you should get a crappy painting done. Have a mate who happens to be an art critic or evaluator value the piece at $50,000, then donate that piece to charity stating its value. That allows you to claim a deductible of $50,000 towards your taxable income due to your charitable donation. A genius. David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007, and she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology, which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down since this investigation is forever closed. Leah Remini has had it investigated as well and written letters to Shelley with no response. Before Leah left the church she wrote letters to Shelley that the church refused to deliver, and when she asked where Shelley was she was told she didn't have clearance to ask that question. This one is small and local but still too insane to ignore and just came up today. Just recently, our small suburban town's favorite gas station went out of business. Everyone went there. The guy who ran it was the mayor. He retires and sells the property after an issue with the ground underneath the gas pumps. They tear down the gas pumps and keep the garage. Mavis Tire bought the property and opened a new store. A few days after the Mavis opens, someone posts a picture on Facebook of an intersection at a road near it with nails all over the road. The guy theorizes that a box of nails fell off of a construction truck. The police come clean it up and it seems all is well. Fast forward a few days later and people are commenting on the post that they're finding nails in their car tires. Not just from that intersection. People jokingly say maybe it was the new Mavis guys throwing nails around, but nothing really happens. Several weeks later, people have been posting day in and day out pictures of nails in their car tires. My dad took my car into the Mavis in question about 3 weeks ago and they found a nail inside of the right front tire. I noticed that it was driving sort of funny but never that my tire was on the verge of exploding. I jokingly said people have been saying you guys have just been going around throwing nails all over the place, trying not to laugh at how insane it sounded to say out loud. The guy behind the counter said nothing but yeah with a weird smirk. Over 50 people have posted on the town Facebook that their cars have had nails in their tires. My mom is driving my car now because her car has a nail in the tire. It's been almost 3 months. I'll post updates if anyone is interested. So my dad actually confirmed a popular Reddit conspiracy theory. I told him about the laundry detergent caps have the full line too high on purpose, and he told me this was true. He interned at P&G, and they taught him the full line was for the highest level of cleanliness our product can give. You can get away with using much less detergent. The Denver Airport theory. I mean the capstone of the building literally has the Freemason logo on it. There's some weird butt apocalypse murals on the walls. The runways look like a swastika. And there's a 50-foot tall horse statue with red glowing eyes. I mean seriously, who the frick designed that place? Building the airport cost $3 billion more than expected and the labor was piecemealed out through countless contractors, so nobody who built it knows the full scope of it. Oh, and that 50-foot tall horse statue with red glowing eyes killed its creator. Deer is a weird place. US intelligence conducting organized blackmail operations out of Epstein's island. The prosecutor handling Epstein's old case was told to back off and go easy because Epstein was intelligence. Acosta's departure from the administration confirmed that this was not just a rumor. So as an American, I would really like to know exactly who was blackmailing who, how far it extended, and what political decisions were affected. Dr. Claw's Inspector Gadget. Explain. Some torture devices such as the Iron Maiden were made up hundreds of years later so people would think, well, a regular hanging ain't too bad then. This is literally true as far as the Iron Maiden. I'm pretty sure one of the Simon Whistler things talked about this like last week. Nutley NJ, where Martha Stewart was born, has a butcher shop every other corner. How much meat does one small blue collar town need? Suspicious. This gives me hot fuzz vibes lol. That B-Debbie that used to work in accounting stole the succulent I had on my office desk. She always made comments about how much she loved it. Then she quit her job here. I come into work the next day and it's mysteriously nowhere to be found. Haven't seen it since. With all the scientists in the world, there has to be at least one secret lab on this planet where they have cloned a human. Trader Joe's makes their parking lot small intentionally to make it seem like it's more popular. Ah yes, as opposed to those Walmart parking lots that are 1/4 full. That calm on Reddit really does nothing. That's exactly the thing I hate about a Reddit. Karma makes being active on Reddit a competition. A competition with no reward. My dog did not go to Doggy Disneyland because he won a lifetime ticket for being a good boy. I think that he in fact died. Our phones and all the apps on them are listening to conversation. I'm super anti-conspiracy theory, but this has happened to me way too many times in the last 2 years. I impulse shop really badly. I carry cash for the explicit purpose of I can use this guilt-free for an impulse purchase. 2 years ago I bought high-end lipstick with cash in a store after doing zero research on the brand. Next day I had ads for it despite never even previously hearing of that company before. I had only talked with a sales associate about the brand for a while. 6 months later a very similar thing happened when I switched hair care products to very specific brand. Later that night I had ads for their company which I had never heard of or looked up pre or post purchase. 8 months ago I ordered a cider I had never heard of at a bar in Nick. Didn't research the company or anything about it. Not even 2 hours after I left the restaurant I had ads for that brand of cider on my Facebook. There's easily 5-7 more times I could think of, but these are the ones that bother me the most because I am positive the transactions were all in cash. I had never looked up the product before, and I had very targeted specific ads from those exact companies less than a day later on most of my social media. I know how location services work and that's how advertisers get a lot of data because of where you go and shop. But shopping at a huge store with hundreds of brands, Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, etc. What are the odds I got an ad for the exact products I bought? Like genuinely, they weren't on sale, weren't researched, the sales reps didn't help me find them. Same thing with the bar, they carry dozens of brands of booze and specialty beers and stuff. What are the collective odds I got a multiple specific ads for the exact brand of cider I ordered off of a menu of 50+ drinks? That's the weird part. If I had just gotten generalized targeted ads for those stores or random products in those stores, fine. Or if I had gotten ads for stuff I had bought before it researched a lot, also fine. But the odds of 3 ads for highly specific brands items within a day of me buying those items from a large broad store in cash is just too much. Even the most advanced algorithm couldn't have predicted a spontaneous $100 Lorac MAC lipstick purchase with the only data being this person is in Ulta and has googled Urban Decay eyeshadow before. Totally believe. Never did any research about martial arts or anything, but mentioned wanting to learn Krav Maga whilst grabbing coffee with a friend, and suddenly I get a ton of ads for Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu courses. I like that people always are worried that Epstein was murdered instead of suicide. What if this was a ploy to cover up that he just escaped or paid his way out of prison? Well crap. The FBI keeps posting questions like this to see what the public knows. When someone actually says something that could hurt them, they either spam with accounts that's BS or just delete the account whatsoever. McDonald's shake machines are never actually down. The night crew people are just too lazy to clean it. That's usually the case from what I've been told by people who I know that work at McDonald's. They're basically like it's a giant pain in the butt to clean and it takes literal hours to do. Some people had to talk about Fight Club, otherwise, it wouldn't exist. Tyler Durden instructing people to not talk about Fight Club isn't aimed at getting them to stop talking about Fight Club, it's teaching them to break rules. Or at least, that's how I always thought of it. Google Maps only asks you for feedback on its navigation when it knows it did a good job. I use navigation all the time, and I find that when it gets me to the destination on time or earlier than predicted, I get a notification asking to rate the trip. But if it gets me there after it originally estimated, I never get that notification. It wouldn't be difficult to program this into the program, so you're likely correct. Google probably figures they don't want to ask you right after they did a bad job. Jamie Lynn Spears was raped by Dan Schneider. He is the father of her first child. He ruined Zoe 101. Time to sort by controversial. Guys, I know this is a really crazy theory, but I think some rich people might be corrupt. The US government's involvement in the crack sea epidemic. Jamie Lynn Spears, Miranda Cosgrove, Victoria Justice, etc. were violated by Dan Schneider. Nickelodeon let him get away with a lot. There's so many feed jokes in all those shows. A lot of the interviews with those cast members get really awkward when they're around Dan. If you got to pursue your dream career when you really wanted it, wouldn't you do just about anything? If you made Dan Schneider mad, your career would be ruined and your dreams would be over. The fashion industry makes too much money from purses to care about making pockets for women easily available. The idea that there are too many chicken wings for the amount of chicken sold. There is something like 1 billion chicken wings sold every Super Bowl. Where are they coming from? For your information, the moon landings were real. In fact, there were 6 in total and it's not hard to achieve. The real moon landings were the friends we made along the way. Typing in your email address to unsubscribe from a mailing list actually enters it into more mailing lists. If it's a legitimate list that you signed up for, I don't believe it's true. When it's random spam from nowhere, it's definitely using this to confirm it's a mailbox someone looks at. This is why I never unsubscribe and report spam. I just report spam if I didn't sign up for it. NASCAR is fake. It's just Hot Wheels going around a track and all the sounds are made by one guy in a sound booth imitating what he thinks a race car would sound like. The evidence is out there. Wake up, people. That the US knowingly left POWs behind in Vietnam. Amazon Go isn't about replacing cashiers, but about selling stock, receiving tax breaks for R&D and selling marketing analytics on the shoppers. This is why the stores are placed in financial districts and aren't open 24 hours on the weekend. Their camera system is backed up by employees watching you. Google Amazon Go Chicago. They're closed right now. That's not really a conspiracy theory. That's how marketing research for a technology like this works. I believe that the US government has men in black that make people disappear if they know more than what's good for them. Well, you're screwed now. Secret societies definitely exist. Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a Sith Lord and the big bad of the Star Wars prequels, but George Lucas screwed up the directing and then chickened out after seeing the public reception of the character. See also our Darth Jar Jar. The true conspiracies are right in front of our eyes. The extent of corporate control over the democratic process is no secret, but we're all too busy debating the moon landing, flat earthers and anti-vaxxers. New Coke was a way for Coca-Cola to switch from real sugar to corn syrup without people noticing. Switch to the new formula that everyone hates. Keep it for a while so that people demand the old one back. Then switch it back after enough time has passed that people wouldn't notice the relatively subtle change. I thought it was just a ploy to drive up sales and the stock price. Switch to a new formula which people don't like. I'll still continue to buy out of habit because Coke is such an institution. Then release Coke Classic which everyone misses and the sales skyrocket. Mike Bloomberg is a ploy by YouTube to get us all to get YouTube Premium to stop seeing his ads. This isn't a conspiracy theory, but I find any chance I can to say that dinosaurs definitely had feathers and deniers are just clinging to Spielberg's image of them. Ostriches are basically velociraptors. Update. Yeah, I get it. cassowaries exist. The NFL manipulates its games just enough in order to get the best product out of their season because they are a business with billions of dollars on the line. With the number of billionaires that are psychopaths or similar, there must be a few super rich serial killers out there. By extension, there must be people making money supplying victims in the same way Epstein was supplying girls to the wealthy who wanted to scratch an itch. With the money, power and influence would come governments and intelligence agencies willing to overlook or cover up terrible actions for leverage. This makes sense to me. When you can literally buy anything, the only interesting things become those things you aren't supposed to be able to get. Nothing's actually happening in Area 51. The government just keep it so people will focus on it and ignore the shady stuff happening somewhere else. Actually, Area 51 was created during the Cold War as a testing and development facility for aircraft, including the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance planes, and currently it's probably being used to test few weapons and that's it. Every country has their secret projects and we all know it. The entire alien and conspiracy theories have only fueled movies and TV shows. That's it. I quite like the missing cosmonauts theory. It's unlikely but seems like it could have been possible. It boils down to the idea that Yuri Gagarin wasn't the first man in space. He was just the first man in space to survive the entire process. There was nothing found about any of this in the Soviet archives after the fall of the USSR. We don't know who killed Kennedy. Here's the thing about Kennedy. The fact that Jack Ruby killed Oswald should be all anyone needs to know to convince them Oswald didn't act alone. The theory that Epstein didn't kill himself. Memes aside, he could have probably exposed a lot more rich people for their debaucheries. They just bumped him off before he could do so. I don't consider that a conspiracy theory. It's just plain fact honestly. ETA the word theory. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. Like and subscribe you magnificent person.